Hi, good morning. It's Councillor Glen, and I am here along Poole Creek on the Poole Creek pathway in Amberwood. This is one of my favorite spots to come for a walk or a little bike ride in the community. And the way you get here is if you go down Springbrook in Amberwood, look for the Canada Post mail kiosk, and you can find the trail and the pathway just in behind there. And you can walk all along the creek, connects over to Granite Ridge, connects to Victor Street eventually as well. So a really nice pathway system to explore. I wanted to come here to Amberwood for a couple reasons. Good morning. One was last week I had the chance to meet up with Barbara Robson, who's written a new book about the history of Amberwood Village. It's full of photos and stories about how Amberwood Village was built, the idea behind it, and about the history and a little bit about the future of Amberwood as well. So congratulations, Barbara. It's a really good book. It's a fundraiser as well, and you can find more information. Just Google for Amberwood Village Residents Association. There's also the Friends of Amberwood Village on Facebook, and you can get more information there. The other reason I wanted to come here is Poole Creek is a very popular habitat for turtles. Snapping turtles in particular are in their breeding season or their nesting season right now where they're laying eggs. So be on the lookout for turtles in the community. They might be crossing the road near the creek. They might be burying their eggs near the creek. And earlier this week on my email newsletter and on Facebook, I shared some photos of the Canadian Wildlife Federation working with a community volunteer to relocate some turtle eggs and put a protective netting over it to protect those eggs from predators. So some really interesting photos there and good work by the folks at Canadian Wildlife Federation. All right, some community updates for you today. Vaccines, first of all, we are making some excellent progress in Ottawa. I checked the stats this morning. Vaccinations in Ottawa, 75% of people 18 years and older in Ottawa have received at least one dose. 17% have now received 2 doses, so some significant progress. The other big news is starting on Monday, I believe, yes, Monday, Canadian Tire Centre is opening as a new vaccine clinic location. So we have now received in Ottawa about 52,000 additional doses from the province, which is allowing us to open 5 or 6 new clinics across the city, and one of those is at Canadian Tire Centre. So if you go to the provincial booking website or the provincial booking toll-free line, you can make appointments for the next few weeks at Canadian Tire Centre. So this is really good news. The other thing is pharmacies in Ottawa have received a total of 25,000 shipments of vaccine. And so I've heard from a lot of people who've had success booking at their local pharmacy as well. So if you're looking for that first appointment still or for that second dose, there's a few more options for you in the coming weeks. Speaking of turtles, just looking at the feedback from residents this week, we have a lot of wildlife in Stittsville, don't we? We've got turtles, we've got rabbits, we've got foxes, we've got deer, bear, coyotes, mosquitoes, gypsy moths. We've got it all. It's one of the great things about living in Stittsville is we're so close to these natural areas, right on the edge of between the urban area of Ottawa and the countryside. So yes, we do see a lot of animals here. And I just want to remind folks, we're coexisting with animals. You know, it's not possible to remove animals. I don't think we'd want that, but we need to learn to coexist. And there's some great information. You know, if you're curious about, for example, the bear sighting last week, what should you do if you see a bear? Do a Google of it, and there's lots of great information online. Even turtles, you know, what do I do if I see a snapping turtle? How can I move it safely from the road? Do a Google search for that, and there's some really great information and YouTube videos with some tips on how you can better coexist and help the creatures who live in our community. This week there was an article in the Ottawa Citizen and the Ottawa Sun about utility work, the fiber that Bell and Rogers are burying all over our city. And they focused in specifically on a number of Stittsville residents who've been having issues with getting their landscaping restored. So first of all, I want to thank the residents who reached out to the Ottawa Citizen with their story. And I want to thank residents who've reached out to me subsequently to share their frustrations and some of the difficulties they've had with the contractors. I'll say again, Bell and Rogers, when they do work on your front lawn, if they rip up your driveway or your landscaping, they're required to return it to the original condition. If they cut a sprinkler line, they're required to repair that or cover the cost of repairs. So if you are on a property affected by the Bell work, you should have received a letter from Bell beforehand. There's an email address there and a 1-800 number there that you can call. If you're having any difficulty reaching them, please call me and I can escalate that, or send me an email and I'd be happy to help out. But I know it is an issue in the community. You know, the first few feet or first few meters of your lawn are a city right away, so they do have every right to dig into that front part of your property in order to install these cables. There's conditions they need to follow and permits that they need from the city, but they also need to put it back to the condition that it was before they started. This week I was at Transit Commission and we approved a plan to convert OC Transpo's fleet to electric buses. So over the next 15 years, I believe it is, we will see our buses go from almost entirely diesel to entirely electric. We're going to start out with electric batteries, but eventually we could expand that to hydrogen buses as the technology comes along. And it's a project that'll cost about $986 million, so just shy of $1 billion, but a really important investment for environmental reasons, for budgetary reasons, and it's thanks to some funding that we've received from the Canada Infrastructure Bank and Infrastructure Canada. So some direct funding, also some financing to allow us to move forward on that. We have to replace buses every few years anyway, so the city earmarks tens of millions of dollars every year to replace equipment like buses, but now we're just going to do it as electric buses. Electric buses tend to be more expensive than diesel buses, so this extra investment in financing from the federal government is going to allow us to make up for that shortfall or cover that extra cost. The other thing is tomorrow, if you're taking OC Transpo, be aware that summer schedules take effect tomorrow on Sunday. I believe tomorrow's the 20th. The 200 series buses, so the express buses that operate in peak hour, we are reducing the frequency of those buses, so they're not going to run every 10 or 15, it'll be more like every 30 minutes. We'll ramp that up again as we see ridership increase, but a significant improvement for Stittsville residents is Route 62. The Route 62 bus will now run at least every 30 minutes, and every one of those runs is going to come to Cardell Rec to Stittsville. In the past, a lot of the runs ended in Canada. Something I think is very important to people who use the bus in our community. The 62 will be making it all the way to Stittsville on just about all of the runs. There's a few in the weekly schedule that don't, but hopefully those will come soon as well. The other thing this week, lots happening, eh? City, we're in the process of updating our official plan. This is the master document and set of policies that guide how our city is going to grow over the next few years, next few decades. We've been collecting a ton of feedback. We've had hundreds of people from Stittsville alone who've been involved in sharing their feedback and ideas. The city published what's called a As We Heard It report this week to summarize the feedback and also how the feedback is changing the draft plan. So there was a draft plan plan produced and published in November, and lots of people have commented on that, and they're making some significant changes in version 2, so you can get a sense for what those changes will be. So thanks to everyone who's provided their feedback. This Thursday, I hope you can join us on Thursday evening for a webinar about waste diversion. I realize that does not sound too exciting, but we're doing this with city staff about what should go in your blue bin, black bin, compost and garbage, some tips around that. They'll talk about where the garbage and recycling goes once they collect it. So that's on Thursday evening, and you can find information on my website. I just saw a comment here. Batteries and coal do not work. There's a 40% reduction in range. Yes, so it's one of the things that staff are considering. The battery technology in e-buses have actually come a long way in the past few years. City purchased some hybrid buses a few years ago that actually did not work very well in the cold, and they've been retired. But one of the requirements around any buses that we procure is that they can meet the range and the requirements for the city. We've got some very long distances that some of our bus routes need to travel. So that's going to be one of the requirements before we're able to purchase these buses. But yes, good point for sure. It's emerging technology too. So as the years go on, that reliability will go up and the cost will start to come down as well. The Rotary Club, they're doing a really interesting fundraiser and family activity. They're calling it the Stittsville Staycation Rotary Ride. And starting today, you can go to stittsvillerotary.com and sign up to participate with your family in the Staycation Rotary Ride. It's kind of like a bit of a scavenger hunt or different points along the way that you can visit. And there's a chance for some prizes, and it's a fundraiser for the food bank. So these are all good things. stittsvillerotary.com. Met with my team yesterday, and I asked them, is there anything that we're hearing from the community, anything that I should be reminding people about in my weekly video and my email newsletter? So here are a few things. First of all, if you're a dog owner, please make sure you are respecting on-leash and off-leash areas. If you're on a pathway, I'm not aware of any pathway or trail that is a off-leash pathway. Please put your dog on a leash and keep them under control. We have some parks that are designated as off-leash, but most parks are on-leash, so please respect that signage as well. And two other things that are really important. This has come up a few times. Please, if a neighbor asks you to keep your dog off their lawn, please respect that. It's a small, tiny thing you can do to be a neighbor, to act in a civil way towards the people who you live near. So please keep your pets off of your neighbor's lawn, especially if they've got a sign up and they've asked you repeatedly to do so. The other thing is, please pick up after your pets. We're still seeing far too many dog waste bags around the community. The second thing is about traffic safety. Please slow down in our community. Please stop at stop signs. Please obey traffic lights. Again, it's astounding how many people are still seeing who think it's okay to race down a residential street at 50 kilometers an hour. Really, if you're doing anything more than 30 or 40, you are putting your fellow neighbors in danger. So please take care. Put your cell phone down. Make sure you don't have any distractions. Keep your attention on the road. We could significantly reduce our workload in our office if things like speeding and dog waste, if people would just take a little more time and attention on those things. And then I also want to remind you about supporting local businesses. We're now a week into this reopening, and I hope you've had a chance to go out and support a local business, especially businesses that were considered non-essential before and have just been able to reopen with reduced capacity, especially going out to a restaurant and checking out a patio, maybe topping up your tip a little bit to help our small businesses and employees who are struggling. And it's also important to continue physical distancing when you're with people outside of your household, wearing a mask, washing your hands. There is still COVID-19 in our community, and our public health officials are reminding us to remain vigilant. We're doing very, very well in vaccinations. We're doing very, very well at stopping the spread, but we don't want anything to flare up again, obviously, so please continue to be diligent. I think that's it for today. I've covered quite a bit. I hope you get a chance on this sunny Saturday to explore your neighborhood. Maybe come down here to Poole Creek for a walk around and check out the stream down here. It's a really nice place to visit. Take care and have a great week. Bye.